But let's move on to Valiant.
Valiant.
Another game that he's designed that is pretty phenomenal.
I was co-designer. I want to give a giant kudos out to Matt Herrett. So this is actually the Q system, which is what is the basis for the Valiant role-playing game. Was actually for our Cosmic Patrol game is when that first came out. So for those who haven't heard about that, Cosmic Patrol is our kind of homage to 1950s golden age science fiction, rockets, ray guns, and robots. And Matt Herrett, who's our head layout guru, he utterly adores that era of fiction, and he brought this concept to us a couple of years back. And he literally had a cover for the book that actually ended up being the book as the front cover of the proposal. And I took one look at it and I'm like, I'm in. This is so compelling, just the cover. And then I looked at the Q system. I'm like, wow, there's really not that many games out here that are remotely like this. There's some that are pretty dang close. There's some great indie games out that are similar. But I just really loved the way in which he'd put that together. So we did that with Cosmic Patrol. And then last year, in October, the speed of this still just kind of has my head spinning. So last year in October, we're at New York Comic Con. We're walking around the floor. Brent Evans, who is our fantastic art director, is with me. And he was a Valiant Comics fan from back in the 90s. And we kind of walk around a corner, and there's the Valiant booth from their relaunch of 18 months ago. And he's like, what? He walks into the booth. Somebody tell me why you guys are back and why I haven't heard about it, and I have to buy everything. And within about 30 minutes, we were sitting there talking with one of the VPs of the company, and within 2.5 months, we had a license. And the first quick start rules released a month and a half ago, and the full book in PDF form will be out in July, and the book will be out in August. So it's happened at crazy lightning speed, but it's been an absolute blast. One of the things I like to say is that I love miniatures. I love them to death, and it's why we've kept banging our head against it. But it's been endless banging our head against it. Half of the gray in my beard, quarter of it's my kids, as always, but a huge chunk of that is dealing with miniatures in China. And so it's nice to kind of go back and this is a book. I'm going to write it, and we're going to work with some awesome authors, and we're going to get some fantastic art, and we're going to put it in a book and print it, and it's good. And so it was really nice to be able to do that process. And so yeah, it's going to be coming out again. There's the quick start rules are out. There's actually a couple of additional free PDFs already out. You can go up on Drive-Thru. You can go up on Catalyst Game Labs and check them out. Please do.
The game, maybe I missed it with Cosmic Patrol, but the alternate storytelling is really what sold me on this game. The concept of not having a GM to tell your story and to take turns telling different scenes really takes the cooperation to a new level.
It does, and it also means that there's a certain kind of wackiness that can ensue in a Q system gaming session, and that's not for everybody. Some people don't quite like that, but I have found it to be just wonderfully fun and enjoyable.
You've got role-playing games where one person tells a story and people participate. And then you've got this role-playing game where it's not, I don't know, how do I want to say this? It's other role-playing games where there's one storyteller, they tend to be more plot-driven, A to B to C to D. And because there is not necessarily a plot like that, and everybody's partaking in telling the story, a lot more things can happen, and I think that raises everybody's community engagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where I think this is different from a lot of other role-playing games, is there's much more player interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to, it's us, and that's the GM.
Yeah. So we already have the next book that I've somewhat outlined, and I've put it out to some authors to start pitching for me. That'll be coming out at the end of the year, and then we have a deck building game, another deck building game that we actually bought from some kids, actually the Team Weasel, Bruce and Heather and their team, that we met last year, has it really been that little, or was it 2 years ago? No, I think it was 2 years ago that we met them, doing like a speed dating thing at Gen Con. And we played their game that they had done, and it was unlike any deck builder that we'd ever played. And so we're like, we need to really take a hard look at this, and we didn't quite have a place to put it. And so when Valiant came along, it was just one of those, yeah, this is going to be perfect. And we wanted to do the role-playing game first, and so, you know, summer-ish next year is when we'll do that as well. And I'll start talking more and more about that on the blog up online as we get a little closer to that.
Another deck building game. So things are going good.
Things are going good. We also have, just on the side, we are also doing a board game for Shadowrun called Hostile Takeover. And that one, again, I've just started to kind of talk about that on our blogs online.
Wow.
And it is, it's definitely a large Euro-style, you know, 2-hour board game experience. But it really captures the flavor of the Shadowrun side very well. There's a lot of times when you're designing something and you're putting a great skin, as we call it, the flavor of Shadowrun into it, and often the flavor can be missing. The game mechanics can be great and the flavor's not really much there. And we're currently at a stage where the flavor is just fantastic. It's so is Shadowrun. But the mechanics aren't quite there yet, so we're still kicking them pretty hard. We're really excited about the overall direction of it. Hoping to have that one out towards the end of the year, but you know, it's still a little early, so we got a little bit of time before we get that one out.
No wonder you're slow with some emails.
I do tend to wear a lot of hats at Catalyst, so something needs to get done, and you know, you
Sounds
gotta
like
go
you've
do
got
it.
your hands in every game that's being designed.
Well, as the managing developer, I really kind of do, particularly when it comes to something that's not the role-playing game. So, you know, for example, Shadowrun on the role-playing side, I talk to Jason, we exchange emails about particular outlines or a particular product. I'll kind of review things now and then. I'll check in with him. I help him with dates and scheduling. But on the whole, he does a great job at running his line. But when it comes to all the new games that we're doing, it's very much, you know, I'm stepping up and developing and getting those games out. And then if they spin up into a big enough line, then we would likely bring somebody in and attach that person to them and then let them run. And then I would continue doing these other kind of more one-off games.
Interesting. What's going to be special at Gen Con? Anything?
You'll
have prototypes
at
to
Gen
show,
Con. Yeah, well, we're hoping to have some really nice prototypes of the Sprawl Gangers to show off. Crossfire is going to be there. Hopefully, the Shadowrun and the Shadowrun Beginner box and Alphaware box will be there.
Nice.
Hopefully, we'll have the BattleTech Lance packs there. As always, for example, Run and Gun. Standard and limited edition made it here at the show, as well as Fire and Frost, which is the first Shadowrun novel in like 8 years.
Yeah,
So we're super
I saw
excited about that. Stolen Souls should be coming in today, might be coming in tomorrow. So sometimes when you're kind of under deadline, Stolen Souls is one of the first big plot source books.
Okay.
And it didn't quite make it out on time, which meant it was a little late. And then when you add in shipping from overseas, you're just never quite sure if it's going to make it in time to the convention. And so that's why we kind of hedge our bets. I'm pretty dang confident about Crossfire because I just got verification that printing's done and they're starting to load a ship. And I'm looking at the calendar and based on experience, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident. I can tell people it's going to be at Gen Con. The beginner box set and Alphaware, that's a lot more up in the air at this point. So we'll need to get in well into July before I can give a definitive, yeah, we're going to go ahead and have it there. But we're, again, I'm always up online. If, our Twitter feed, I'm always on Twitter. Just come, ask us questions, follow. I give you a look over my shoulder and, hopefully most of you enjoy it. If not, then, unfollow me. But I've always felt that this isn't about just big announcements. It's just about, hey, this is what it's like to do this stuff. So
he really is on Twitter too, because I posted my review for Valiant, and I think 3 minutes later it was retweeted.
Yeah.
So it was that quick. It was like, wow, that was.
Well, luckily I multitask really well, and so I've just kind of absorbed into it just to constantly have that kind of open, and I can very quickly go and check something.
22 screens, the Shadowrun.
Yeah, I wish actually I had that. It'd be great to have all these multiple machines. And
My brother has a radio station. He's got 14.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm just really lucky that way. I know a lot of people, like, they answer emails at 8 to 10 in the morning, and then that's it. And I can't. Well, one, I can't do that. I'm not designed to do it. And two, I can be in the depths of even writing rules or writing fiction, and I can see a stream come in, and I'll quickly pop over and see, is there an emergency I can answer? Nope. Keep writing, and then come back to the emails a little while, and I'm able to switch around really quick. And it's the same thing with Twitter. If I see some cool piece of art that come in, I drop a quick Twitter, wow, this awesome piece of art just came in, and I come back, or even I share it, throw it out there. So luckily for me, I'm able to task-wise do that very simply and easily. And if you guys are following me, it's a back seat to looking over the shoulder of how this stuff gets made. So.
But that's always a good thing, right? And they're very open with that, so that's always good. So, what kind of cool events do you have going on here? No championships or anything?
No championships.
Cool tournament?
I think. I don't think we're doing any specific tournaments or anything. I know we are sitting at almost 200% of the number of Shadowrun games that we're running from what we did last year, which is always
awesome.
just
Well,
unbelievably
SR5,
fantastic.
Man, SR5 is really phenomenal.
I appreciate that. I will let Jason know. He did a great job.
Well, Jason knows. I talked to him at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The character creation just blows my mind. I wish everybody could make character creation like that. I mean, I haven't played Shadowrun since probably the mid-'80s, so maybe 2nd edition if we're lucky.
Mid-'90s then.
Nope, mid-'80s.
No, the game wasn't out then. The game released in '89. Shadowrun came out in '89.
Oh, then I played 1st edition,
Yeah.
and I played it later in high school than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought I played.
1st edition was awful. Actually, one of the things I love about Shadowrun, it was one of the very first times that proved that if a universe is cool enough, it'll survive. And it lasted the 2 years or so it took them to come out with 2nd edition. They still had some issues, but at least it was a fully playable game. So that's always been one of those fascinating experiments of a universe can actually survive rules that just aren't very good.
Well, and the universe has tweaked itself quite a bit.
Oh, it has. But at its core, I think it's still that same asking the question, asking the hard question. And Jason was, we've always been a big believer in that, but I was really glad that Jason was pushing that envelope really hard as we moved into SR5. And it actually is the tagline on the back. Everything has a price. You have all this awesome magic, and you have all this awesome technology, and you can ram it into your body and your soul and all of that. But at what cost? What do you give up to get that? And then even the game mechanics themselves, as we introduced limits, was about the exact same thing. You have all these various things, but there's always a trade-off. And what do you pay to get that trade-off? And all of that then lends itself, of course, to great role-playing as you develop and answer those questions within a great storytelling framework.
Yep.
So I think, I think I've talked
an
hour. I think we've covered.
I don't know, but
I don't know if there's
lot.
anything left to cover. Oh, actually, I did want to mention one last thing. Bravest Warriors. So if anyone has not, it's because the cards just showed up today, so I'd kind of forgotten about it. But Bravest Warriors is on Cartoon Hangover. And Cartoon Hangover is this great online, television quality animation online on YouTube. And Frederator's the company that puts it out, and Nate and his team. If Bravest Warriors was created by Pendleton Ward, who is the same guy that created Adventure Time. So Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors is kind of a teen style sensibilities of Adventure Time. So if you like Adventure Time even remotely, give Bravest Warriors an instant try. If you kind of liked Adventure Time, but maybe it wasn't quite for you, then definitely give Bravest Warriors a try. I admit I was really reticent when we first started going down this path of wow, really? I mean, that's not really, but I have totally fallen in love with it. In fact, my phone, I actually had to turn it off because if I get a text or anything, it's all Catbug, which is one of the characters on there. Sugar peas! But the card game is just a really fun, fast card game. And when you first see it and you first play around a turn, it really feels like I can teach it to you in like 30 seconds. And so it almost feels like there's really not that much strategy to it. But once you play it a couple times, you realize that there's some really cool little fun depths of strategy, and it's actually going to come out in 2 different 55 card decks with 7 dice each. And so there's going to be a red deck and a blue deck, and then you can play them separately like that, or you can just mash them all together and play a supersized game. And so then you can play anywhere from like 2 if 2 to 4, or if you mash them up together, all the way up to 8 players. And so
Wow.
it's super fun. We don't have an exact release date. It'll be coming out in the fall. As I said, we had just some print-on-demand cards that we had that just showed up today. We just started showing people how to play. But please check the game out. It's check the animation out up on YouTube. It's great fun. And then once again, obviously, I'm blogging about it. I have 2 or 3 design blogs up about how we're doing that card game and more coming. So
Yeah, he writes and he designs and he writes and he designs and he has kids.
there's
People
a
say I'm busy.
The-
They can't even compare to what this guy does.
lot of awesome hats, but it's all fun. It is tons and tons of work, but I love playing games. I love making games. It's fantastic that you guys are sitting here interested in what I'm doing enough that you allow me to do that. So often I'm here
That's
thinking
true.
you guys. So
True. Thanks for watching,
Okay.
guys. Matt Lemke with Randall at Origins, not that other convention.
Origins, not that other convention.
Not that other convention. Have a good year.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, man.